And we are live. Welcome, welcome.
Hello,
How you
hello.
doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good, 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 good. Well, thanks for joining me. This is Joshua Brooker. Am I saying that right? The last name?
Yep,
All right, nice. From PA Advocate or PA Health Advocates.
that's correct.
And you actually came to me through a personal connection of ours and
Mhm.
suggested that we come together and talk a little bit. And you got a pretty cool journey story along with this business. So I thought you'd be a great person to really kind of talk to and connect with. So first off, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you tell us a little about it and tell me a little about the journey story.
Yeah, sure. So, um, definitely a case of life happens. um, Formally, my background is in mechanical engineering. Like, I'm a very type A person. Um, I ask a lot of questions, and I went to school under the premise of heading into the automotive industry as an engineer. And when the economy collapsed in 2008, 2009, the automotive industry was unfortunately impacted by that. I saw a lot of parallels in finance and decided to switch to financial planning. I saw a lot of um, work with numbers and due diligence to make a holistic recommendation in the financial planning space. And that was until 2013 when my son was born. So, firstborn, I had 10 months of prep time to ask every question I could think of, right?
Yep.
First time dad. Um, and the one thing I didn't really think about was the fact that my son was born on New Year's Day. My now ex wife, but his mom was admitted on New Year's Eve. And the insurance companies, their contracts basically state he's under 1 year, one deductible, she's under a different year, a different deductible.
Really? Wow.
So, even with asking every question under the sun that I could think of about what's it going to cost and how's it going to be, we wound up walking out owing double the cost because we didn't wait a day. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, so that was almost 10 years ago at this point, 9 years ago, that I spent until last July actually slowly peeling away my financial planning practice and handing it to a local group that I have a lot of confidence in, um, and focusing wholeheartedly on understanding the financial side of the healthcare system. So,
Okay.
um, since then, I do I help people with Medicare, Medicaid, CHIP, health insurance for the individual market, and really small groups, 2 to 49 employees. The way we look at it is every person that we work with knows us. So that small market means that every employee
Yeah.
has a local point of contact that they can work with. But we got certified in just about every way that I could figure out to understand this market top, front,
I
back.
know I noticed that. You do have a lot of letters after your name and a lot of,
Yeah.
certificates against the business. Now, one of the things of course, when first heard about you, the name, Health Advocates definitely makes me lead to believe that you're definitely helping, helping folks beyond the obvious of the health insurance. I go to the website and, I'm thinking, well, is it a health insurance company and everything else? You're offering health insurance. But then you and I started talking a little bit before we started recording here, and it just my mind was kind of really opened up to really what you do from the advocacy side. And you have like three types of business models and all that kind of stuff. Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So first, I will say PA Health Advocates is one of the three um, companies that we lead that uh, it is the piece of our business that is a traditional health insurance brokerage.
Okay.
So under PA Health Advocates, we work with 50 different insurance companies. We have
Wow.
clients in 11 states, and we're familiar with a lot of different markets under Helping Health, which is the sister company that focuses on um, Medicaid and CHIP. We're a 501c3, so
Wow.
we work directly with the state and helping consumers navigate Medicaid and CHIP. And then we have uh, a web platform that we're currently in production called Snap Health, and I'm sure we'll talk
Okay.
about that later. But
Yeah, because I want to dig into that. You talked a little bit of that off, and that's a
yeah,
whole nother animal, and so you're being very innovative going
yeah.
towards that.
Well, and on the front end, we are a health insurance brokerage, right? We do help people understand and enroll in insurance. The challenge is that in our space, um, we're a bottleneck. We can only help so many people. So to transcend the advice that we provide from one-on-one client relationships, I'm also involved with three things: trade groups, government, and media.
Okay.
So when it comes to trade groups, I am the Pennsylvania legislative chair for the Central Penn chapter of NAHU, which is our largest trade group in the health insurance industry. And I'm the Pennsylvania level chair for HAFA, which is Health Agents for America. In addition to that, on the government side, I sit on the Penny Policy and Legal Committee. So we're the only broker in Pennsylvania that has a voice, has a seat at the table for Penny. And then at the federal level, since about 2017, I've been in a agent and broker group. Again, there's about 22 brokers in that group with the federal Department of Health in DC, and I'm usually there about 4 times a year. So the idea is we hold our clients' hands through every single thing we do, and there are gaps in education when it comes to brokers that may focus on large group or may focus on a particular line that they don't understand what the individual market looks like, and we'll help fill in those education pieces. And for government, where they are top down, right? They're
Yeah.
looking at a problem from
Yeah.
300
Yeah.
million people, and we're bottom up. We're able to fill in some of the gaps as to what consumers actually need. So we are a brokerage first, but at the end of the day, we provide a lot of guidance that impacts a lot of people in ways that they don't see, which is incredibly, it allows me to extend my reach with what we do.
It's certainly impressive. I mean, one of the things I was thinking of is, do you have any other? I mean, all the time commitments do you have for these kind of groups? Obviously, you're a smart dude, and being able to help all these folks is pretty impressive. Because I've had my experiences too, where just even going to the market and trying to healthcare market and trying to find something. Previous to working full time with like a smoker company, now I've been I've been an entrepreneur myself, and trying to find proper health care, and then when I do have it, as a sole entrepreneur, I guess you would call it, as an entrepreneur, I would have trouble even getting some of the claims myself. And
Mhm.
so you seem to find kind of a sweet spot there also, right? Is trying to help those kind of folks out,
Yeah,
such as myself at the time.
yep, that is correct. Yeah, um, I say we, obviously I'm the one talking, but there are two
Yeah,
incredibly
you do have a
hardworking
team.
people. Yeah, that make it to where all these time commitments are met and everyone is serviced behind the scenes. So um, uh, I am a little bit everywhere, but at the end of the day, we're as efficient as we can be to make sure that
Sure.
both our individual clients and the market at large has the guidance they need.
Yeah. Well, that might tee up the website we're talking about, right? It's your
Mhm.
time commitment and everything else, and helping people self-serve. So
Mhm.
tell me a little about this project. You first off, you went through like an incubator, correct? And then went
Mhm.
this kind of route, and it seems super impressive. And so I'm really interested in hearing more about that.
Yeah. So in 2018, um, at that point, we were 5 years into our business. We were kind of hitting limits as far as what we can do. So as you can imagine, working if you're a CPA doing tax season, you've got 4.5 months, well, 3.5 when you consider all things considered for
Yeah, we here at Smoker Company, we just wrapped that up, so we know very
yep.
well. We
So
know very well the
my
challenges.
my challenge is we have November 1st to December 15th,
Okay.
and you take out Thanksgiving, you take out weekends. I have a 30-day business, uh, 30 business days to help about 300 clients that we serve in the market.
Okay.
Um, so in 2018, we went to a VC firm basically saying we need to scale. We need more advisors. We need space. And at the time, they basically said that is a losing bet when everyone's looking at technology, right?
Yeah.
Uh, if you're going to download what you do into the next broker, the next broker, the next broker, why not do that into a system? And again,
Yeah.
what we do transcends just enrolling in coverage. It also is trying to deal with this medical bill doesn't look right. How do I find my doctor? Is this medication covered? Like all these different questions that we help people with, that uh, we'd have to have somebody well diverse in a lot of areas to be able to service the client. And it makes sense for us to download that into a website. Now, again, being in these panels at a federal level with the Department of Health, we see a lot of policy before it's policy. So we see
Yeah.
proposals from CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. They're the Department of Health agency that handles Medicare, Medicaid, and the market. So healthcare.gov, Penny, all of
Okay.
that. So we see a lot of the legislation coming down. And in right before COVID, we saw a piece that basically requires hospitals and requires insurance companies to release your records to you in the event you ask for it. So
Okay.
imagine logging into a portal and saying, I have these three doctors. One's my cardiologist, one's my dermatologist, and this is the hospital I go to. And in the last 5 years, I've had Highmark, Capital Blue, and UPMC. If you're using a third-party system, that system can now go out and pull any file for anything that's in any of those
Wow.
systems for the last 5 years at least, or
Wow.
longer. So from 2018 to now, there are all these laws that are popping up. No one knows about them. Like as a patient, most people don't realize you can actually go and search Lancaster General Health price transparency, and they have their
Really?
full hospital list of medical procedures and costs listed on their website. So there's a lot of data out there. And we, in spring of 2021, went through a tech accelerator with Ben Franklin. So they're part of the Pennsylvania economic development. So they're
Okay.
part of the economic
Yeah.
development program. They work
Wow.
with Penn State University, and they are an incubator that looks to raise capital and put that into companies, and two, they work to bring jobs to the state.
Yeah.
So we went through this tech accelerator. In the fall, we got a $10,000 pre-seed grant from them to basically flesh out our marketing and where we're headed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then right now we're going through a process to try and raise another 150,000 from them. And we have other outside investors that would effectively fill the match. The idea of this is that you log in, you put in a handful of data points.
Yeah.
Our system will go out and pull those data points in. And then forever you have a hub, regardless of employer, insurer, health system. And then in addition to that, because it's a live hub, in the event you need to buy insurance, or you need to fill your prescription, or you need to get a sleep study, it will tell you where the best place is to go. It will tell you the pricing for it.
Yeah.
So, it'll be intuitive enough to say CVS has your prescription for $50 and Wise has your prescription for $30.
Wow.
So not just purchasing insurance, but it'll be as intuitive as TurboTax. Like it breaks everything down very simply, and we expect it to be live this fall. So what it does for us is, again, it becomes a way for me to amplify our voice of giving prudent, timely, efficient guidance. And it allows consumers to have a tool where they're not being sold something.
Yeah.
Again, for us, we have contracts with 50 carriers. Our job is to have as large of a shelf as possible, that we're never telling someone you need to go this direction or this direction. We deal in volume, right? So at the end of the day, if we're giving guidance with as few conflicts of interest and as much transparency as to how we arrived at what our recommendation is and where revenue is coming from, then it becomes a tool that helps a lot of people.
One thing about just even insurance in general, I think most consumers take it as face value, right? It's like, here's what I went to this place and here's what I'm charged, right? That's what it must be, right? I didn't try to go anywhere else or shop or anything else. And so we just assume, or even if we did not try to assume it, we wouldn't have any other ways of fact checking or background, whatever, trying to do your own research, do your own due diligence. So this is kind of nice that you're putting something together. It gives transparency to the consumer to be able to make their own personal, decisions like this. Because I would, if someone came to me right now, such as yourself, and say, "Hey, Ben, I think this is what you should go with," I'd be like, "All right, sounds great." I wouldn't ask any questions because I really don't know anything about it, nor would I have the time or understanding if you did throw a bunch of stuff at me. So that's kind of neat that you've, creating this centralized portal to help. Yeah. And of course you don't have to field as many phone calls if you go to scale, right? Like if you double, triple, quadruple your business, this does, and at the end of the day, you are helping consumers. So that's great.
Well, and we're not looking to that point as well. The way that we've operated up until now is really being that central resource. So oftentimes, if a broker can figure it out themselves, they don't need us. And when it is a complex case, they're usually coming to us saying, "I have this client, can you help me with it?" Or a CPA, same thing, or a financial advisor, same thing. "I have this scenario, can you help me with it?" When Snap Health grows, our mission is still to field the complex cases. I have a large medical bill. I don't know what to do, but it is certainly going to reduce friction where you don't necessarily need to call your doctor for every little thing. You don't necessarily need to call your broker for every little thing, because this bill is right here and I understand it and it makes sense. Like the explanation of benefits. It's not how does this work, or if you get two bills that look kind of the same and you click a button that says dispute, then we will reach out and try and figure out, is it our system or are you being double billed? If you're being double billed, this is how to deal with that. So I don't imagine our phone calls are going to drop in the short run.
No.
But what I will say is they'll be more targeted. And then the other side of what we're trying to do, so that pre-seed grant was, we could take this to 300 million consumers, right? But any company should understand you can't boil the ocean, right? You shouldn't try to boil the ocean. So the pre-seed grant is, we worked with a local company called Thread that helped us to define who the initial market is. And the market that we're going after are caregivers. So if you imagine a 50-year-old that has a 15-year-old at home and a 70-year-old parent, it also helps them to be able to check in and say, all right, all these bills are paid for mom. And there will be alerts if she gets admitted to the hospital. You would immediately be told something's going on. Because again, our feeds, once you set it up and tell us where you go, our feeds are constantly checking overnight every day that there's a piece that needs to be added to your profile. So you're admitted, it goes into the system, and our feed tells your family that there's something wrong. So there are a lot of use cases, but really that caregiver market is our initial space to help people that, like you said, don't have time. They don't have time. They need the right answer. They need to have confidence that it's the right answer, and they need autonomy to record when they made a payment or check that they're not being overbilled. Or they may have someone that has a rash and they're like, do I need to go to the hospital for this? Is this a chemical burn? Am I going to get a $1,200 bill for that? It'll guide them. It'll help them say, here's a teledoc that is available. Here's the 24-hour nurse line through your insurance plan. It'll have all of that very, very easy to access.
That's impressive. Honestly, back in my mind, I'm like, I can't wait till you launch this. I'm like, I got to get you back on when have the launch, and we can kind of showcase this, because obviously this is just one aspect of your business, which is super impressive, because I really do want to thank you for coming on here. I don't want to take too much of your time. And you're local to here in Lancaster, so for those who are looking, actually I did pull up your website here that I just want to show everybody. So it's just PAHealthadvocates.com. Plenty of information on here about us, who we serve, some additional resources, and some some self-serving information on here as well. And
if you're on there, I do want to point out two things. So on the resources tab, the first one that I would point out is the individual health resources. So this is something that brokers in our area have kind of bookmarked on their computer, because we keep this.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But it has the customer service number for every carrier in the area. It has the portal that you go to set up your online system. If you're enrolling in Capital Blue and you need to check a prescription, you can click that pill bottle on the right-hand side, and it'll take you right to Capital Blue's website, right to where you need to be to search your prescription. So a lot of what we're building, and again, this transcends PA Health Advocates. A lot of what we're building we've already built over the years of, like, we have downtime, we can breathe, let's put this functionality together. So this is something that most people, I would say, have it bookmarked, just in case you do change plans or you want to look up and call the 1-800 number. This is not if I go to Capital Blue's website, this is not the 1-800 number on the top. This is
Yeah.
the one that you actually use that doesn't have all the stupid prompts.
Yeah, that's
Um,
very important. Yeah.
and then the other thing is under resources, if you look at articles, um, yep. So if you look there, right now, there's a lot of talk about employees who, when they get coverage through an employer, the plan for them is $100 a month, but to add a spouse is $600 and to add a kid is $1,200. Like those
Yeah.
astronomical rates that make no sense. So there's a law currently being proposed that would say that the spouse and the kids are not affordable. And that very first one that says employee benefits,
Yeah.
all about that law, what the family glitch is, what they're doing to patch it. Um, the one next to it is tells people about how we calculate their income and their household size to determine which route to go. The 1.3 million potentially impacted by the IRS is an article that we wrote that has to do with people that got tax credits that were tied to them being unemployed last year. And
Oh, okay.
when the ARP, when that law was passed at the beginning of last year, one of the things that was in it was if you were unemployed for as little as 1 week, you got the maximum amount of help from the Affordable Care Act. I had a client who had traditionally they're an executive, they make $400,000 a year. They were laid off, got a severance, and eventually wound up on unemployment, not making 400,000 on unemployment.
Yeah, obviously.
But in any other year, they would have not gotten any help because their income would have been too high. For that particular year, they got I want to say it was about $25,000 or $30,000 of tax credits.
Okay.
And the Penny was really good about explaining how to get those credits. But the trick with any credit, as you know, is that if it's a tax credit, the IRS needs you to report it.
It's
And
true.
right. And the form that you reported on is Form 8962. And I know that's boring that we're talking about tax forms. But but on that form, there's nothing that tells you how to report it other than a little piece that says see instructions on a specific line that if you overlook it,
Yeah.
you
Remember
file
that.
your taxes as if you owe $30,000 back when in reality
What?
you should have changed something. And
Yeah.
we even looked at the IRS like annual tax preparer training that it's like a 250-page document about what's new and what you should do and whatnot.
Yeah,
Not a
exciting stuff.
huh?
Exciting reading.
But that's my job, not yours. Right?
And I appreciate guys like that, guys like yourself.
But in that document, there's not one mention of how to deal with this scenario. So 1.3 million people went into tax season filing, and there's not a good example as to how to handle reporting that you got unemployment and getting the tax credits that you were supposed to.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as with health insurance. If you are a business owner and you had to apply for unemployment last year because your business stores got shut because of a mandate, and you got told, your broker told you, you get all this help and these credits, and you enroll in a plan, and your CPA at the end of the year tells you you shouldn't have taken that $30,000, you owe that back, you're going to take the word of your CPA.
Yeah, of course.
Hands down.
Yeah.
That's my guy. That's my tax guy. He knows what he's doing. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm never talking to my broker again.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So there's a lot of education that this was passed to different media outlets, to federal regulators as well, because there are little things in here that are constant problems. So this resource center has articles that are very much targeted to industry and other things like the individual health that are very much targeted to consumers, like what is a deductible? How does co-insurance work? Where are co-pays? We have a whole article about how to make that turn into English. Which again, our job is to be as efficient as possible. If we have recurring questions and we can make that into an easy to digest document that's pretty quick to read. I have 4 minutes to read that document and it tells me in plain English how it works. Then we can send that in an email to a client to say, this fills in the gaps of what we're sending to you.
Well, super impressive. I'm definitely going to go through a little bit of that now that I'm in the CPA space. Obviously I'm the marketing side, but I'm just a furious learner. I love to learn all that kind of stuff. So that's really neat that you're off, you have that, because it's not fluff blog posts, that some, random website has. So you're actually put a lot of thought into it. It's pretty neat. I appreciate that. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, obviously I'll have some more information, contact information. And again, I want to thank you for coming on. This is, this episode and PA Business Spotlight is sponsored by Smoker & Company, which is a local CPA firm, which we're going to have to talk offline about anyways, because you brought up some really good points. But Smoker & Company is also has several other companies underneath it, like Keystone Credit, which is debt collection, Smoker Guard, which is a law firm. We have property management. We have a realty company. So there's a lot of services that Smoker, under the umbrella I'm sitting here at One-Source Business Solutions, which is a business brokerage company here in Lancaster downtown. And so again, just want to thank you for coming on, Joshua Brooker from PA Health Advocates. And hopefully anyone who's watching this, share this with your friends. Also, like the page if you want to see more episodes like this. And if you know of anybody who you think would be a good person to interview, please reach out to me. I certainly would appreciate that. So, Joshua, thanks again. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The only last thing I will say is if you want to learn more about us, Google us. I mean, you can read what our clients have said. We have, I think, 12 or so, 5-star reviews that can tell you exactly about the level of service. So I definitely appreciate it. Ben, we're gonna share that as well through all of our channels to make sure that people know. I mean, Smoker's been around for a long time, so I definitely appreciate it.
All right. Hey, have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.